workshop meeting of Commissioners Court of Grimes County to be held today at 11:30 a.m. We're having a late start. The time is 11:41 a.m. We'll call the meeting to order. Our agenda item is to discuss and listen to concerns from Grimes County volunteer fire departments regarding run payments. This workshop is scheduled to start at 11:30, but is dependent on the time adjournment of the preceding 11 a.m. workshop. We are now in session, and I will be hopefully always honest, but completely honest with you folks. I have no idea what the discussion's about, so does somebody want to take the lead and bring me up to speed?
The issue we're having here is the phrase called canceled en route.
Yes, sir.
We've had some calls that the fire department will...
For record keeping, would you state your name and
sorry.
also what department you're with?
My name's Court Norwood. I'm with Richards Volunteer Fire Department.
Richard. Okay.
Evidently, the phrase canceled en route is a blank spot in the computer that has to be filled out in the form somewhere down the line. Somebody has made the decision that we don't get paid if we're canceled en route. If that's the choice that Grimes County wants to make, then we're going to have to go back and cancel all of our mutual aid agreements. We're going to have to cancel our automatic aid agreements, and we're going to have to rewrite our contract. My idea is we got to put trucks on the road as fast as we can to help each other out. We cannot wait until trucks run out of water and then call for help. So that's what the issue is.
Okay, you say there's a form. We've never seen the form.
I hadn't either. It's a blank spot on the computer that says we were canceled en route. I'm guessing that
Let me enlighten y'all about the form he's talking about.
And your name, sir,
I
and your...
am Brendan Vickers. I'm the fire chief with Whitehall
Okay.
Volunteer Fire Department. When we complete our fire record report at the end of response, there are categories that list the nature of the response and the actions taken by the departments. The nature of the response may be an automatic aid or a mutual aid assist that's automatically dispatched. And the result of that response is that we are disregarded while we're en route to the location. And that disregard has a category in the TexFERS and InFERS record reporting system categorized as canceled en route, which means you did not get to the location, you did not provide any other supportive services, and you were returned to the fire station. That doesn't mean that you didn't incur an expense or that you didn't respond. Canceled en route only talks about the termination of your efforts while en route to a location.
Who cancels you en route?
The dispatcher will cancel us en route.
Why do they?
Or command that's on the other, that's already on scene.
Okay.
I'm Morris Barney. I'm Chief of the Iola Volunteer Fire Department. There's multiple reasons we get canceled. One of them would be a life flight call, or PHI, which is who does it here in our county. They launch the helicopter. The medics call for the helicopter. We get toned out and set up a landing zone, and for some reason they've canceled the helicopter, whether it be weather, whether it be they didn't determine they did not need the helicopter. Is one availability of a helicopter is one reason that we would be canceled en route. We see these calls routinely. Another reason is a automatic alarm or automatic dual tone outs. In my case, if Anderson or Beat Eyes gets a structure fire, we automatically get called out with them. Now they may get on the scene and it be something that they don't need us for, so command there would cancel us en route.
Do they call you or do they call dispatch?
Dispatch automatically, they call both departments at the same time.
Okay.
And yeah, everything goes through the dispatch.
Okay.
They don't call, no department gets called individually. It all goes through the county dispatching system.
When did y'all notice this not being paid because you're canceling route start.
This past
Just
quarter,
this last quarter.
it's never been a problem for how many years?
Have we had a change,
We
auditors?
do not have a change. I've got documentation going back to 14 showing where we have not paid for, canceled, runs. Even some fire departments got so accustomed to it that they didn't even put them on their report because they knew they weren't gonna get paid.
The judge, here is a difference.
Yes.
There's a canceled and route.
Your name and station?
Michael Commish with Anderson Alter. There's a
Okay.
difference in that. You got a cancel and route to the state. If I never made it to the station, that's a canceled call. They don't get a report. But if I drive from here to Todd Mission to help with the wildfire, and I get to Todd Mission, and I say, oh, we don't need y'all no more. Well, if I had 4 trucks in the route, how many miles is that to Todd Mission? Who's gonna pay that mileage?
It depends on if we pull a truck, if we get toned out and we move a truck out of the station or 2 trucks out of the station, we might make it around the block, we might make it down the road 4 miles. Then we charge. But if we don't ever pull the truck out of the station, then I don't charge. I don't even write
We
it
don't
up
put
as
them on the
paperwork.
report.
It's too much paperwork to write up. I don't even wanna mess with it.
Yeah.
May we see a report, and what are you calling council, Ms. Mary?
What dispatch puts on here.
But I know a prime example for Richards. They got-
Maybe you should hear some from
Toledo?
Toledo.
So the
since
reason
she
this whole
does-
workshop came together was Joan, who is with the Firefighter Association, was calling on behalf of Richards Fire Department on their most recent, run reimbursement. I went back, there was 2 calls, one was like for $143 and one was like for $198. And she was questioning why we didn't get it. And I told her that it's been a policy or procedures that we followed since I've been here, that we don't pay canceled runs
And you've been here how long?
since 2011.
Okay,
When and where that started, I have no idea. I'm just following along what was told.
sure.
I called and checked with dispatch because on the sheriff's log, it'll show canceled or disregard. So I actually called and checked with them, and one of the calls that they were questioning, they said that they called and disregarded or told them to cancel while they were still at the station. And whoever answered that call said that we were gonna go anyway on our own. So I told Joan, we cannot pay for that if you guys were told not to go while you were still at the station. The other one, there was like a 20-minute lag time by the time that they got to the scene before they were disregarded.
Is this both out of Richards?
Yes.
Let's take the first call first, okay? Is,
The first calls first, we had 3 calls the same day. We first got paged out about 10:30 or so. We went into Montgomery County, it was a controlled burn.
well, okay, but you just said they didn't leave the station?
There was one where I talked to the dispatch and they said that they had it in their log that they were told to disregard this particular incident, and whoever they talked to, did not tell me a name, said that they were already at the station and they would go on their own. So I told her that we couldn't pay for that. The other one, there, like I said, there was a 20-minute lag time, and I told her we could see to pay that. But I suggested to Joan that we have this workshop because of the terminology and everybody's definition of what does canceled or canceled en route mean. That it's ultimately up to the Commissioner's Court to decide what types of runs we're gonna pay for and what we're not.
Right.
So we're here to get clarification on what kind of policy do you guys wanna set up when we're paying these run costs and reimbursements?
Okay.
We obviously don't have the manpower to call dispatch on every single canceled call and find out exactly what it was. So if it's a different type of verbiage that we need the sheriff office to type in, I don't know, that's up to you guys.
Yes, sir.
Now, I will say for this, and I'm gonna take up the call on this one, if he gets dispatched to a fire call, according to contract, and dispatch calls him and he has not left his station yet, she can't cancel per contract. The deputies, the commission, nobody can cancel us on a fire call. On anything,
Other than another fire.
you know, traffic control, anything, fine, but if it is a fire alarm call, nobody.
Fire department makes the
has to
call.
make scene.
Now,
Okay.
can I finish the day out?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, we had just returned from the station from this previous call.
Uh-huh.
We were doing our paperwork, finishing our reports. We hadn't even pulled down the bay doors yet. We get paged out to this call on FM 149 just outside of Anderson. And I come across the radio and I said, dispatch, that is Anderson's fire district. Will you please page them out? We will be en route, we're still at the station. And I know that we have shorthanded manpower during the day, especially. And we had 2 trucks go en route until Anderson Fire Department made location and canceled us. And we went 14 miles, 2 trucks, 3 firefighters. It is incident number 162. It happened on 3/13 of 18. And it's over $148.72.
And that is true.
I know that Anderson is shorthanded during the middle of the daytime. I know we had a grass fire on the side of the road, and we kept trucks en route until Anderson Fire Department got on scene and disregarded us.
And they beat you to the fire?
Yes.
Canceled you, y'all turned around and went back
Went
home?
back to the station.
But they were toned out first for a call that was in our district,
We
which
were
is
toned-
fine, but they got canceled, but like I said, he's out of mileage. I mean, it's not his fault that he got toned out to the fire in Anderson. I mean, he was covering the county.
Okay. Yes, sir.
There's an idiom that goes with this, you can't unring the bell. If they're sent, they're sent. If they're unsent, it doesn't mean that the expense that they incurred didn't occur. And I find it a little questionable as to how the dispatcher knows that they hadn't left the station when they disregarded it. Does your fire station have an independent telephone line?
No. I'm the one that told dispatch, we have not left the station yet, we will be en route. And somebody is not listening to the whole tape. They need to back up 30 minutes or an hour and listen to the whole 3 hours long of the tape. They heard one specific phrase and that's what they're stuck on.
Who's they?
I don't know. Whoever, who'd you
Whoever's
say?
guarding the call.
Who
It was
told-
whoever at dispatch,
Okay.
what's her name, is it Tina? I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Tammy? Castro, the
Maybe
supervisor?
Tammy, I think that's who I spoke to. But like I said, Judge, the reason why we're here is because we need Commissioners Court to make a decision on how we're gonna go ahead and go forth with paying these run costs. We just want something set in stone so we can have a policy to go by. Are we gonna pay canceled en route or disregarded calls? That's what we need clarification on. We're not questioning that they didn't incur the expense, it's just, this is the way it's always been done. And when it's came about that way, I'm not sure, but,
You
our
guys need
office would like
clarity so that y'all are
clarification.
within the guidelines of auditing.
Exactly.
All right, that's fair.
And
Yes,
Judge, I can say I've been with the county 12 years, and the 12 years that I've been here, it's been this way. That whenever a call is canceled, we haven't paid.
well, why is it then it's just coming
I
up?
think it's the way they're wording it there now, because it's never showed up on our reports that we were canceled en route until they started that new stuff.
We have never received a notice from the auditor's office or from the treasurer's office that any number of the calls that are submitted are not being paid for. If we submit a call and it is a quote invalid call, we would expect them to notify us that that call will not be compensated for. My department does not issue mileage on a call that we do not roll an apparatus out of the station. And we note it in our quarterly report. But if I put a truck with the front wheels on the pavement, there's gonna be a bill because there's a cost incurred to the department.
And that if you're called out and
I'll be right-
get halfway to your route, say 8 miles, you're only charging for that 8 miles.
We
Not for
charge,
a destination.
if halfway is 8 miles, you get charged 16 because it's.
Yes, that's what I mean,
it's-
your true mileage on the going
You
back.
get the mileage on the truck.
Okay, Janice, I'll get to you. Sir, you had your hand up.
Dan Sharon, Shower Fire Chief. On the run
Thank
report that we get from dispatch, there's a tone-out time, in-route time, and a clear time. And I think what's happening is even though the tone-out time is at one time, let's say 0800, and they disregard us at 850, they see the cancel over here on the side, and that's what they go by. They should be going by the time, because if you're 20 or 30 minutes into that scene, or into that tone out, you're on the road, you're going somewhere. And that's what we're in discrepancy about, is that we're not getting paid for the time on the road. If we're in the stall and we're not moving that truck, we don't pay. If my tires hit the pavement, you're gonna get charged at least an hour. Because you cannot operate that vehicle for zero amount of money. And so I think that's a discrepancy there, is that they're looking at canceled and they're, oh, it's canceled, they're not gonna pay for it. But they need to look at the time, tone out, time clear. You know, if it's 2 minutes, I can understand that. If it's 20 minutes, we're already on the road. Because they don't put the time clear of scene.
Yes, they did.
Yes, hang on, I didn't finish your sentence. They don't put the time clear of scene until they do clear you or they disregard you. So there is a timestamp on there.
Okay. Janice?
One thing we have to remember, that these men are volunteers. And we, in my office, we've communicated with each and every one if there has been an issue. And then we contact the dispatchers and talk to them too. And I've always been the person that if their truck is on the road and they're en route, they need to be compensated for that mile. If I'm wrong, y'all need to tell me. But these guys are volunteers, and y'all need to keep that in mind too.
I think for me, the question is, and I really do appreciate and I understand the issues that you're talking about, because we've had them in discussions lately, where we had all of the dispatchers have a meeting and how we can be more effective and efficient in what we're doing and the types of reportings that we're putting out there. So at what point, I didn't really get to finish looking at it, but if you just say call disregard.
But it shows us the time that the call was made.
No, that's not where I'm going with the, it has to be a reason. I guess where I'm going is there's more, you just can't just say call disregard it. Like he says, you have to look at it. What time did we pull out? What time did we leave? And I understand we're trying to be efficient with the taxpayers' money, but at the same time, we have to work through whatever this issue is. It may be an issue with how dispatch is reporting.
That's what it sounds like to me.
That's what the issue is.
You know,
The terminology that we use.
so that it makes the job easier for the auditor's department and the treasurer's department to cover the compensation of it. We realize that we've got some issues, you know, understandably with dispatch, because, you know, that's a lot on one person hearing and toning and calling this person, and we have some issues. So I think the talks we have are moving in the right direction. We need to include the fire department on some of these discussions with dispatch so that we don't run into this issue, because I can see where you're going. If that situation had happened to me and it wasn't a grass fire but a structure fire, and nobody was at Anderson's Bay to get there in time, they had every right to keep running, you know, because it could have been a life.
Well, except they were toned out first anyway.
Yes.
You know, so he did right by going. There was no problem with that. I think we're seeing more now of the disregards, being PHI went to the new deal. They fly for everything. You know, they put the bird in the air. Fire department gets halfway out there, they cancel us. Well, the dispatcher's putting it as a disregard. We're not getting paid for it, but they're flying a helicopter to Grimes County once every day. So who's going to accrue them costs?
They're not
So
getting paid for it either.
Well, I know, but I mean.
So there's only one label of disregard. It's not like a disregard before you get to the station and disregard en route.
It should be a canceled en route.
Yes,
Canceled
canceled en route.
is what
If we
it
can
should
relabel
be.
something to that.
That means we were en route, but we were canceled.
Do you
Yes, we
ever
did.
see cancel en route in your reports? Or
I
just
think for the
cancel
most part,
disregard?
they show up canceled or disregarded.
Cancel, disregard.
And when did we start with this new system?
What?
The sheriff department, I don't know.
We're not in charge of that.
And they started flying a helicopter, last quarter of last year?
No, I know the sheriff
I'm
department
talking
makes a lot
about
of changes.
the reporting system. Is there a new reporting system that we're using now as far as what's been
The
labeled?
one that we go by is the sheriff's log, so they get a log, and each time the fire department turns in a run cost, if the sheriff's log isn't attached to it already, Janice, correct me if I'm wrong, her office will get a log from the sheriff's office, and they go through day by day and check to make sure that what the fire departments are turning in on their log matches what the sheriff's office report. when and where that report came from or when it was designed, Judge, I
Or
don't have
when
a date for
something
that.
apparently changed within this last quarter, because y'all
Well, it
have been
hasn't changed in
getting
the
it.
last quarter, there's a whole nother
your
system that they're
councilman.
talking about from the Forest Service, I
No,
think.
no, but something has
No.
changed on them, because you could look at them now, if you get your report from them, every time a call is made in about that call, you might get a run report that has 10 different time zones on there with the same call. And usually it was one line per call, and now it's like every time there's a transmission made, it's on that report.
I think there's a different way that they can run it.
Something changed with the system.
Was it the active 911 that's
It-
recording
yes.
all this and putting it in
Yes.
there?
Yes.
Well,
That's
we
what
have,
changed.
they have been working to tweak their system, so, and we had this meeting maybe a month ago. So if the report has changed, then we need to be aware of what's going on and how it's affecting you
Actually, I
all.
think the report's good, it's just that the cancel and the disregard needs to be labeled different. So if you have a truck en route, you're getting paid
Well,
for that.
it sounds like that canceled en route is a fairly easy solution. There, it legitimizes y'all's ability to say, yeah, we're authorized to pay that, you pay it, because it says that your equipment did hit the street.
Right. The way that it reads now, we don't have any way
You
to
don't,
determine
you
that
don't know if
unless
you're
we
sitting in the
actually
bay suiting
physically
up,
call
or
and
if you're
have the
halfway
replay.
on site,
There's two issues there. There's either canceled en route,
okay?
or there's disregarded en route. If we're disregarded en route, the information comes from the field, back to the dispatcher and says, we don't need that additional engine company.
Is that where Anderson calls
Exactly.
Richards and say, hey, we made it
We
here?
call dispatch.
Okay.
It's,
dispatch goes
it's
to
not that
disregard.
bad, we don't need y'all.
Yeah,
Canceled en route is where Lifeline can't make that location, disregard the LZ. That comes from dispatch, because dispatch is the one who has the prior connection with Lifeline, or with the alarm companies, or with the water flow companies, or whoever is monitoring a building. They make that connection, and then they make the determination, based on the information they're given, as to whether or not that fire truck is actually gonna be needed at that scene.
Well,
If
then
they
the-
say no, then they cancel us en route. They don't disregard us because we're already en route.
it sounds like the key words that we need to add
Is
to
en
one or
route.
the other is en route.
En route, that's
I-
the key word.
I do have a question, because I'm new at this, and I'm trying to learn fast. And I'm not learning fast enough to keep up with
My
everybody.
predecessor was new too.
Yes, yes. So when y'all get an alarm, a tone, and you start going to a scene, does that tone tell you it's a structure fire, it's a helicopter, or
If the
clearing?
correct information is given to dispatch.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, in that situation, do you dispatch, or do you try to get all hands on deck, and if you've got 5 trucks, you start
If-
sending 5 trucks all of a sudden,
If
or?
it's reported as a structure fire,
Yes,
if the caller says, my house is on fire,
yes,
we have what we call automatic dispatch for the next fire department to be automatically toned with us.
Mutual
okay,
aid.
Mutual aid.
all right.
Automatic mutual aid, on structure fires only.
But again, if you have, how much equipment do you have in your station?
I got 1 engine and 1 tanker,
So when you get the tone, you try to get both of them to go.
at least 2 trucks leave at a time.
And Michael, what do you have in Anderson?
2 tankers and an engine.
So when you get a tone, what do you try to get to go?
We're gonna roll,
All 3?
On a structure, we're gonna roll at least the big tanker, and if we got enough personnel, we're gonna roll.
So we're gonna have 5 units coming to there, and then when you get there, you are there first and you go, oh, it's just baking on the stove and we got it out.
We disregard.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Cause it's just like, you know, if I'm going mutual aid him on a structure fire, I'm not pulling my engine, I'm pulling my tankers. Cause I'm transporting water. Because there's no water sources. I mean, structure fire, you got to have your tankers. And he'll request 1 or 2 tankers, whatever you need.
you know, if it's my house, I want everybody responding, but I mean, and I get that,
I'll
but
handle that.
on the flip side of it, you know, as soon as we can start limiting the cost, I know the court has that responsibility, and I don't know how much of that responsibility you folks can also
We do.
absorb to
If-
make the calls as quick
If
as
we
possible.
get there and we decide, look, it's nothing, no more than a smoke detector going off.
Right.
Then we can't, as soon as we find that information, we cancel. I mean, we mutual aid with Montgomery County quite often. And we go
Do we
down
pay
to-
them too?
No.
Okay,
We don't pay Montgomery County, it's an even swap. We help them, they help us.
okay.
With no money changes hands. So we go over the Montgomery County line quite often. We're a mile and a half from the county line where they're 20 miles travel time. So we normally get on scene in the Bays Chapel area 5 or 10 minutes before they arrive.
So do they pay you for those fire runs?
Nope. It's an even swap.
It's
We
a
help,
mutual aid agreement.
I help them and they help me.
No money is exchanged.
No money is exchanged, and I guarantee you, when I need their help, I can get the whole county to show up on my structure fire scene. And they have a whole lot better equipment than we do, I promise you.
And train.
I had them in downtown Richards for 5 hours the other night,
That's right.
and that crew went through that house and they tore that house to pieces. It did not burn down, we tore it down, using Montgomery County's manpower.
See, on the flip side, you may tone out 2 fire departments for a structure fire, but if we get on scene, we may tone out 2 more fire departments.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, you can have, we had 5 there the other night, didn't
We
we?
had five departments on my structure fire for 5 hours. And yeah, there's not much left of the house, but we tore it to pieces. And we had to,
Burn your ovens either.
we had to tear ceilings out, we had to tear walls out, we was walking around with a heat gun, that wall's still on fire, tear it out. We stayed in there for 5.5 hours tearing the walls out. I had some tired firemen at the end of the day. But we were slinging axes and pulling pipe poles.
I think one thing that would probably help is if we just talk with dispatch, and whenever they cancel one, and if it's en route, put canceled en route.
Yeah, or
And that-
disregard en route.
Yeah, but see, they don't have room to put canceled, en route, disregard. They have room to
No.
put cancel / en route, cancel / disregard.
No, it's
No.
disregard en route and cancel
What I
en route.
what I'm saying is, y'all get canceled or turned back in 2 ways. One is disregard, you're disregarded en route, and the other is canceled en route. And what you're saying is either one of those situations, you've hit the street, you've generated cost, you want reimbursement. So if we have dispatch, make that designation that they are en route. I mean, if it's canceled or disregard, that's gonna tell us you haven't left the station, I would think.
I mean, your
It's-
time
it's
frame,
on-
if they cancel you right at that time frame that they pays you out, you hadn't left the station.
Right.
But I mean, if it's 10, 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be no difference than the county employees. If Road and Bridge gets called out for a tree on 185, the fire department gets called out. Well, Road and Bridge already called a guy in. We get out there, we cut the tree off, we call dispatch, says, hey, don't need Road and Bridge. Is that guy not getting paid for coming in?
Yeah, he is.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? We did their work for them, but,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? You know,
If you would listen to the whole tape, we said booster 255 en route, 2 on board. Engine 260 en route, 1 on board. Now,
One on board means on, in
One
the scene.
person, one
Oh,
person
one.
on board, one person on the apparatus. But normally we'll try to put 2 people on the booster truck and 1 person in the tanker. And at that time, we were using the engine as a tanker. It's efficient enough to do.
Sure.
So now, sometimes we say it and it don't come across radio. That's been the argument we've been hearing with some other tapes that's coming across this. We got bad radio systems. Sometimes it don't pick up everything, or we don't, or our trucks don't get out. We're noticing that. It sounds crystal clear it's coming out of dispatch because it's being recorded right here. But something is happening between here and us that we're not getting the signal. So,
We hope our new radio system is gonna help on that.
no, it's not.
It's not.
The new radio trump system is not gonna help us none whatsoever. We wanna stay with the old VHF system that works.
It's worse.
It's worse.
The sheriff department.
That's a whole nother workshop.
That's what I was.
That's a whole nother deal there.
Yes, sir.
one of the other things is that we have worked extensively, court, myself, Vickers, on SOPs for dispatch. If they would go by the SOPs that were authorized and not disregard us for a structure fire, not disregard us for a grass fire, or whatever the case may be, we could probably get rid of some of those canceled en route, because we are not supposed to be canceled for any fire. If we are, and something happens, the fire department's gonna pay for it, somehow, some way.
Sure.
So, all I'm saying is that if we're gonna work with dispatch and try to get the SOPs, they need to read them and abide by them. And so, some of that kind of stuff will, probably go away.
Lita, how many run payments have we denied, or that are in question right now?
I think of the ones that we pulled, there might be like 2 or 3 here and there from various different fire departments. The most recent ones is the one that we just got from Whitehall, and I think is getting ready to pay this next commissioner's court, and then the one for Richards.
Are there any deletions, any that were not being paid?
Heather, how many do you
Whitehall?
It's, Mary has a copy of that one up there.
Yeah, there were several on Whitehall that had canceled, disregarded,
And
and then
I
called
think
dispatch.
it's adequately noted on my report
Disregarded in
that it was
route.
disregarded, and there is no mileage, and there's no hours.
Okay.
So,
But I
Well,
think
what I'm-
sometimes
what
the price difference is maybe a couple $100 depending on how many are there. I think his was only like maybe 50 or 60 bucks, Heather, is that right? I don't remember.
I don't think our reimbursement for this is over $600.
No, it was a very low.
What
There's
I'm
not
asking,
a lot.
are there some fire department requested reimbursements that we have denied paying?
There are a few, yes, sir.
Okay,
That we've altered their
Are they up?
invoice, and to my knowledge, they, I guess, are notified that we're making the changes, because
We weren't notified, we had to look at our check and balance our check, what the invoice, we had to balance the invoice versus the check, that's the way we knew
That's
about
how
it.
y'all
That's how we
decided.
come up, y'all did not say, we're docking y'all for call 1, 2, and 3. We had to compare our invoice to our check, and we said, hey, something wrong here, it don't add up.
it was my understanding that they were being notified, but
I have a question.
that it was being changed.
Because I'm not treasurer of our fire department, I don't ever see the check. Do you send an invoice along with it saying this is what we're paying for?
That would be a council
Well,
payroll
but we could do
question.
that.
I mean, that would give us not checks and balances, and if there was a discrepancy there, then we could say, hey, we were en route, we were spent this much time on that scene.
Yeah, 'cause it makes me wonder now, maybe we said it's been on this way since 2014.
Yeah, how much have we-
There's a few of them that we
I know
paid
what
where
works now.
they've
I
recorded
know it
the
takes some
actual
work for you, but-
conversation.
one at a
Make
time.
a copy of what y'all send me and show y'all.
Yeah.
And also, she's new at the game too, and she'll better communicate with y'all.
Okay, Kalita?
There's, on the ones that we pulled, there's been documentation on there. Yeah. Yeah. So this one, it shows you where Heather has called and talked and got information
Mhm.
on various calls. So
Okay,
this is Whitehall's recent one that they just turned in.
all right.
Who did Heather talk to? Does it say?
Damn it. And Tammy's at dispatch.
She's the
Okay.
head dispatch.
Supervisor.
So there's notations and stuff on the invoice when we're questioning, but I wasn't aware that the fire departments weren't getting the information.
Is that easy enough for them to get it to the fire department?
Sure.
Your Honor,
Sir?
every call that we're sent out on, we're required to make a fire report, the National Fire Incident Reporting System. It would be very easy to access that system and do a checks and balances against the calls versus the fire reports.
They don't trust us,
Well,
it's going to the
They
dispatch.
they don't trust infers, or the county doesn't trust infers.
It's all going, they're basing everything on dispatch. What dispatch says is what goes to the county.
We are in a secure link with FEMA, and we report our fire records through the national database. Every time that truck goes out of the station, there's a record. And if they utilize that as a checks and balances.
Who's they?
The accounting office.
Okay.
But they're not
They
gonna do
utilize the National Fire Record System or the Texas Fire Incident Reporting System.
that. You can't, because you don't have an
How
account
do we
set
get
up.
in?
They can't,
They can't
Yeah.
go yours up.
they don't have,
That's why we
they
have
don't
to
have
go out with
password.
dispatch.
They gotta do everything through dispatch.
And I wanna say
It
that
doesn't
wouldn't
mean
place
they
with
can't-
Judge Shiflett.
They can't develop an account and generate a password.
No, they don't have anything to enter. They don't have any information to enter. They can't get an
I
account.
can't enter on mine and go report yours.
Can you
couldn't
turn
report
that
it.
in when you turn the report in, a copy of it?
You can.
No,
Yeah, we could, but it'd be a stack of paper about
Yeah,
that.
you don't want
We just need to keep a
you
separate
don't want
of
that.
because.
We got to
See,
stick, we got
you
to
were
stick with
saying-
dispatch. This is the in-county
Well, maybe y'all
problem.
need to communicate with dispatch and have a workshop with everyone.
Well, that's what we've already discussed.
Well, I think this is just terminology with, you know, en route, if we add the en route to the canceled or the
We would
disregarded.
greatly appreciate for one of y'all to correspond with us through dispatch. I would greatly appreciate that.
I think that in light of the meetings we've been having with EMS, that you all could be considered to have a separate workshop so that all of the dispatchers can be there and hear what's being said and maybe come up with a way to solve the issues that we're currently having.
Because dispatch probably doesn't understand what they have to go through, and they don't know what dispatch has to go through.
I think it's fair.
I agree.
I don't think it's a matter of nobody trusting one another. It's just making sure that when we're audited, the auditors can say, look, this is what happened, this is how we paid, and this is legitimate.
And if we've
Checks
made
and
changes recently to the system that's affecting you all, they need to hear from you all, how those changes are impacting you.
And dispatch may can abbreviate to where we will understand a little bit of lingo or give us a heads up on it.
I have a copy of my,
I do too.
that's on my phone here, of my April run report. And I'm looking at one here where we were all out, dispatched at 21:56. We were shown cleared at 22:03, and it says canceled / disregard.
So you were 7 minutes.
But we were, on the
You were on
road
the road.
7 minutes. On
That's
the
what
road
I'm
to
saying.
that
But
call.
when their terminology is throwing it off.
Okay.
And so when y'all look at that, and it says, canceled and don't want,
Again, if they just go by timestamp, it doesn't matter if we're canceled or not. That timestamp shows how much time we spent in that apparatus. So they cancel all day long if it's.
But you actually have a call out and then you have a timestamp for when the truck actually leaves the station
And
as
that would be
well.
a true cancel,
And-
but if you go set up PHI with a 20-minute ETA, and okay, we're on scene, we're set up. Well, medics said, oh, we don't need PHI, 22 minutes later. Well, the bird was flying, they turned around and go back, well, guess what call we got? Canceled en route.
Canceled.
So y'all have to
No,
pay
not
us for
even
22
canceled en
minutes.
route, we get
And
canceled.
40 miles.
Right there. It goes all
We
the way
made
through.
an LZ
Yeah, I can see the
and
one
Some
man
days
count.
we were
we
canceled.
got
it would
canceled
be
while we
somewhere
were waiting
right
there
down
because
here 'cause we were
medics
paid
decided to
and
ground
so on and so
transport
on.
the patient.
But is there an instance when y'all get toned and it might be 8 or 10 minutes before somebody does leave a station?
it can
It
be.
may, it can be.
And I would have to go back and check our
So-
run reports
so I-
on this one.
But your
What
run
I-
report actually shows when it leaves the
Yes.
station.
Yes.
What I'm getting at is the time on the log would not always tell us the story. It's gonna be the en route added to that is gonna be the item that would take care of the issue for us, would it not?
There's always
See-
3 timestamps,
This,
tone out,
En route,
en route,
no location.
and on location, or actually 4, and whether the cancels are on route, we're on scene, or whatever.
Okay.
So we call in, when we leave the station, we call and say, certain apparatus en route. And so they put that on there also.
this
Okay.
time of the year right now, when we got these thunderstorms rolling through
Yes, sir.
and lightning strikes close to a house, it's gonna set off a fire alarm. And dispatch is gonna page us out. We're gonna get a truck en route. And then dispatch will say, oh, but per the alarm company, you can disregard. Okay, per the alarm company, I can. But I did go 2
Now,
miles down the street.
Y'all do allow when an alarm company disregards you, it takes your liability
That's
away?
them.
Talk to the homeowner.
It's up to some, if we're close enough, we'll go ahead and stop it, go ahead and make a scene, talk to the homeowner.
Okay.
If the alarm company cancels us, we're, hey, okay, that's y'all's deal. They got their insurance for it.
Judge, I think on the one y'all get from the dispatcher and the one I turn in, if I didn't put a truck on the road, I don't do a report for it.
Yeah.
So my report from the county might say 62 calls, but I only turn in 55, because if I got canceled for 7, then I never had a truck leave the station, I don't turn in a report.
That's too much paper to fill
Yeah.
out.
No.
I'm not gonna do no more paperwork than I have to.
And from auditing standpoint, you don't have a problem with that, do you?
No, because we can match up and see that it's the ones that were canceled.
Well, there
That's
should
what
be
I'm
a,
saying.
there
There
should
are
be a
some fire
dispatch,
departments
but
where they show the call has been disregarded on the sheriff's log, and then the fire department doesn't put it on their log.
but on
Yeah.
the,
So that was a canceled call, but if I turn in a log for it with a truck, that means I had a truck on the road.
Okay.
So that would be a good way to, until we get dispatch to get their terminology right, if I turn a report and say I had 2 trucks en route, and they show me canceled, and there's a 20-minute time frame there, then you know I had trucks en route.
Okay.
Because if I didn't, I'm not gonna do no more paperwork than I have to.
Understood.
does
Our-
dispatch
Go ahead.
actually show on their report, the truck is left?
It shows dispatch
May or
time,
may
it
not.
shows arrival
It
time,
should.
and it
It
shows
does-
clear time.
Because y'all actually log it and it's called in to dispatch, the truck has left,
Yes.
right?
They may record it, but they don't record it on
They
paper.
don't record it on the paper,
Yeah.
so that's probably a big issue there, if
Let me
that's
give you a
recorded on the
perfect
paper.
example. We were at the station first Friday of the month. There was a polo match down the road from us. A guy got ran over by a horse. They launched a lifeline to that location. We have 6 people at the station all day,
It's
because
just
we're
dispatch
cooking,
time
because the
arrived.
next
The
day is our
problem
barbecue
dispatch
fundraiser.
time left the station and then.
We went out, fired the truck up, pulled the truck out, made it to the stop sign at 2988 and 362.
That's what I mean, there needs
We
to be
got it
one in
canceled.
between there with the truck.
And you
left
can
the
hear,
station.
you can hear my
So
assistant
if you
chief
see no
immediately
time
after the
station,
call,
cancel that.
answering engine
Not
390.
paid.
And the rest of the radio transmission, I don't have a recording of, but engine 390 went a 1/10 of a mile, was canceled, we came back to the station. There's gonna be a cost for that, even though that time may only be 2.5, 3, or 4 minutes. In my career, if I spent more than 30 seconds getting out of a fire station, I got left, because that truck was leaving with the other 4 guys. I've got 5 guys at the fire station, you better be on the truck.
But do we then pay you for that 1/10 of the mile?
A 1/10 of a mile
Okay.
and
1 hour?
1 hour.
I don't bill for an hour, I bill to the 1/10 of an hour,
Okay.
every 6 minutes.
Our county attorney, our agenda is to discuss and review, so we've discussed and we're reviewing. We have an area that we need to talk about with dispatch of getting them to put the en route. But if we have a couple of runs that are being denied by auditing, rightfully so under your understanding, and we as a court need to consider getting the department to pay for those runs, then I need to put that on the next agenda where we discuss and take action.
Well, you could ask, I assume that you could ask the auditor to submit it for the next either budget amendment or line item or something like that, and you could approve it by the auditor putting that expenditure alone on the agenda, rather than
In the
putting it
consent, in the
Yeah,
consent
that's
item.
fine, however you
Okay.
want to do it.
In the bills.
Okay, that's fine.
And you didn't ask this, but when you consider directing dispatch is.
Sheriff's office.
That's right, and you can't insist that the sheriff do anything.
I have a friend over there, I'll talk to him.
That's why I'm suggesting a workshop.
Yeah. I mean,
No, I
everybody,
understand.
everybody needs to be at the table, just, you guys don't need to go to dispatch people and start telling them what to do.
No. Was not my intention, because they don't have to listen to me. But I appreciate that reminder of advice. Have we given you, gentlemen, enough time for your discussion, and do you feel we've heard your concerns?
Yes.
Are you in, at least at this point, somewhat agreement with what we have suggested to do?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're gonna get paid.
Sir? So that brings us to agenda item number 3. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second. Commissioner Dobianski
Want to split it? You take that, I take this?
and Commissioner Chad Mallett has seconded that. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.